Hello, Mr. Banks. My name is Mr. Umbal, and as the head Human Resources Office representative of the National Park Service here in Wyoming, I would like to see if you are National Park Service material. I will ask you some questions about yourself, your work history, your possible role here at our company, and your future plans. I will use the information gathered today from this interview and share it with my colleagues as we make our final hiring decisions from a pool of qualified candidates. This interview should take around 15, 12 minutes. You'll be okay with that, Mr. Banks?
Absolutely.
All right, perfect. Now we can get started. Let me begin by asking you some questions about yourself. So, tell me about yourself.
All right. I've been in the security slash law enforcement career field for the last 12 years. Currently, I am a police officer for the Department of the Air Force for the last 2 years. The first 10 years, I was security forces for active duty Air Force in the military. Um, I promoted fast within 3 years. I was staff sergeant once I got to the active duty realm. I Not from there. I transitioned into canine, uh, even above my other peers within 3 years after that, and was able to take on a lot more responsibility, fast tracking my way to being one of the top handlers at our kennels. Now I'm here for this job because I've transitioned out of the military role and am wanting to make a more impact on my community, more like as a local and not as so much as a wide federal entity, right? I'm wanting to do more of a uh, outside land preservation sort of thing. My passion's always been being outside, being in nature, and so I figured why not take my career field and my love for nature and kind of combine them into one.
You know what? That's perfect. We do need people who are fast learners and passionate about what they do. So, yeah, great. That's great to hear. So, let's start off again. What is your greatest limitation or weakness?
I'd have to say, um, I do sometimes, possibly my communication skills could use a little bit more work. I tend to just kind of assume that everybody else is on the same page. While I still communicate what needs to be done, some of the smaller things do seem to fall through the cracks. So I've taken steps to working on those, but am aware of this problem and am actively trying to fix it.
All right, that's perfect. When you can identify your weakness, that's something to look for. So, you know, what are things that motivates you?
So it's funny. This is a job interview, but what actually motivates me is time at home with my family. Actually, um, so anytime there's an opportunity, say, hey, if you come over here and do this extra work, do this, this overtime job, and get some extra, say, PTO, some paid time off, then I'm all about that. I love spending time with my family. Like I said, we have two dogs. We like being outdoors, doing hikes and camps and all that kind of thing. So yeah, anytime I can kind of get some extra time off just to be with my family. Now, not saying obviously I want to do the job and be the best at my job, but at the same time, I do like spending time at home.
That's perfect. Yeah, I can see that. So let's see. Let's describe a time where your workload was heavy, and let's see how you handled it.
Okay. Yeah. So when I became a dog handler in the Air Force, there's a lot going on. So not only am I worried about um, myself. I'm worried about my dog and his training. I'm worried about now also my troop or who I'm supervising over. And so, yeah, it's a lot. You have a lot going on, a lot of training. You also have to make sure that your troop that you're supervising them and their dog is also proficient. So, basically, what I would like to do is just take a minute to focus, to ground myself, and then from there, I write out a plan, um, step by step, what I need to do, how I'm going to accomplish it, and just work out the details. Something, it's, easy for me to do, nothing extremely complicated, obviously, but it helps to see me not only written down, but also to help me write it out. remember it. So yeah.
That's perfect. I feel like you like to be prepared. That's what we're looking for. So what inspires you in the job?
What inspires me in a job? I would say something that stimulates not only my mind but me physically as well. I don't like to be stagnant at a computer, all day every day. I like to be outdoors, being active, something like that. So this type of job, being outdoors, being in a national park, getting to walk around, do those kind of things is exactly what I'm looking for. I don't like being at a computer all the time. So definitely something just stimulating, like I said, both physically and mentally.
Perfect. Yeah, I know. You'll find with this job, this will be probably a perfect fit for you as we're always outdoors. So perfect.
Amazing.
Oh. I want to find out about some of your previous jobs. Let me ask you some questions about your work history. What were your responsibilities?
All right, so we did a lot of perimeter securing the perimeter, making sure all of our cameras and our intrusion systems were intact and operational. We vetted people coming onto base and make sure they are supposed to be there, they're allowed to be there. Then from there, we also secured our flight line in Charleston. Specifically, we were in charge of the C-17 Globemaster cargo planes. They are responsible for shipping people and equipment all over the world. And so it's our job to, you know, secure those, make sure that nobody is tampering with them, make sure no one's out there, illegally, stuff like that. So it's a lot of security and making sure people are where they're supposed to be, not where they're not supposed to be. And then also on the other side of it, we did law enforcement, patrolling around, making traffic stops, dealing with people who have um, come on the base. We call them gate runners. They don't know better and they just drive straight through the gate. We don't know if they're hostile or not, so we have to treat every situation like they are hostile. Um, we'd have to respond to domestic calls, have to respond to late night calls to the dorms, people being too loud, that kind of law enforcement stuff. So it's a wide variety, a lot of security, a lot of law enforcement. It's a good mix of everything.
That's good. That's good. So it seems like you had to make a lot of difficult decisions in a short amount of time. So with that being said, what major challenges and problems did you face, and how did you handle them?
Yeah, so a lot of problems is also just kind of to learn all that stuff, right? Each base, each deployment I went on, each they did their own kind of thing. While the basics were always there, they each had their own standards, their own operating instructions, stuff like that. So I think the biggest obstacle was just getting to learn um, all those new operating instructions whenever I went to a new place. So what I do is I would honestly just take those. We'd usually have them in a booklet or something. Sit down and study them, read them, know what was expected of me, know what my job was, and just what I had to do to get it done.
That's perfect. In this job line, we might send you to multiple national parks. So being a quick learner, that's a good thing to have. So tell me about how you work effectively under pressure.
Absolutely, yeah. So under pressure, it comes a lot to training, to that just that muscle memory, training it over and over, not only in your head, but also physically, actually out, on the shooting range or, drills, anything like that, right? So under pressure, you just have to keep a calm, collective mind, rely on that training, that muscle memory. I remember one time, one of the only times I ever had to pull my weapon, I actually, you almost don't even think about it at that point. Like I said, at that point, I've been in for, I think, like 6 years. So I already went through enough training to where under pressure, it just kind of came to me instinctively. Now, what I do to get ready for that is do lots of training, go through it, like I said, mentally and in the field, and just know my job inside and out and what's expected of me and what I'm supposed to do in those kinds of situations. Breathe, and breathing's important. A lot of people forget to breathe and kind of calm those nerves. But yeah, so it's just repetition and knowing that you're capable of handling those stressful situations.
Yep, sticking to your training. That's perfect. All right, let's see. Have you ever worked with a colleague, let's say you didn't quite agree with or like? If so, how did you handle that? Because in our field, you have to be working with another person.
Right. Yeah. I think it's kind of inevitable. You're always going to work with somebody that you just don't quite get along with. And if I had to describe it in one word, I'd say I'd handle it professionally. We're both there to do our jobs. Um, but we have an understanding of that. So what I would tell them is, hey, you do your job, I do my job. Don't get in each other's way. Don't get in each other's hair, and let's get it done. And it's happened to me multiple times. I've worked with many people over many different areas. So you just like I said, professional is the best way to go about that, in my opinion.
That's perfect for us. Yeah, we don't want it to get any personal than it is. So yeah.
Yeah.
So let's see. Now I'll ask you some questions about the job you're interviewing for and our company. Let's start with what interests you about this job specifically?
Yeah, so as I mentioned before, I have a just a deep, profound love of nature. It was installed in me from a very young age. And I've always just kind of wanted to give back to that somehow, some way. And so I think now this is a good opportunity for me to be able to do that. Um, like I said, I love being outdoors. I still love interacting with people, and getting to do that in the great state of Wyoming here at Yellowstone National Park, I think would be an excellent opportunity.
Perfect, perfect. That's what we like to hear around here. All right, let's see. Why do you think you will be successful at this job?
My years of experience, I've been doing this now, like I said, for 12 years. I know security, I know law enforcement. I have extensive background in each, and so that plus my knowledge of nature. Now, granted, I've never been to Yellowstone before, but um, yeah, I can handle myself outdoors. I know what to do. I know how to go about everything. So I think just my years of experience will carry over um, very well.
Perfect, perfect. So you like to talk about experience and the attributes what you have. What attributes and experiences do you think are applicable to this job?
Uh, well, like I said, so my professionalism, I think you're always going to need professionalism in any job you ever do. I'm very organized. While that includes like time management, also equipment, and when it comes to paperwork, I have good organizational skills. I have good time management skills as well. The military teaches you a lot of different things like that, and so I think just that sense of professionalism goes a long way.
Mhm. Perfect, perfect. So with all that being said, what can you contribute to this company?
What can I contribute? I think honestly, I have a lot to contribute with my years of experience. Um, my knowledge. Like I said, I've been around the world, done a lot of cool, crazy stuff, and so I have a lot of knowledge to give. And then also, I have my drive, my will to work, and especially because now I get to be doing something I love, being outdoors, and while staying in my career field, I think I am very motivated to do this job and coming in here and having, a fresh set of legs. And I think I can really, boost morale and drive up the work environment.
Perfect. That's what we're looking for in every candidate. All right. Finally, I would like to ask you some questions about your future. Let's start with what are you looking for in your next job? What is important to you?
I would have to say the work environment. I do. I too love a good work environment. I don't want to come to work and feel like it's a job. I want to, come and it's another great day to be working, right? I do love being around a good group of people that also want to be there and want to do the job as well. So I think the big thing is a positive work environment is what I'm looking for next. I'm just I am over working with the dull, the people that, hate their lives and all that, this and that and the other thing. So just don't want to be there. And when- yeah, so I think a positive work environment would be what I'm looking for. What's important.
Let's talk about your goals. So let's say in 5 years, what are your goals in the next 5 years?
5 years, I hope to still be in the National Park Service. And at this point, I'd like to be at least one rank up and possibly even looking at the next rank. I don't I don't do well just being with complacent and sitting, at the bottom of the totem pole. And I'd like to be able to be moving up the chain of command. So in 5 years, yeah, I'd like to be moving up.
Now let's try long term. What do you think in 10 plus years? Where do you think you'll be at?
10 plus years. Yeah. Hopefully head of the National Park Service. No. Hopefully at that point, maybe even like top security, top, park ranger here at possibly Yellowstone or some other park. Um, and just being kind of looking over maybe multiple parks, something like that. I don't know. But just further up the chain, and got a family at that time, so spending lots of time with my family and being out in the outdoors. But as far as the career goes, yeah, I'd like to be one of the top guys.
All right, final question we got, the big question. What are your salary expectations?
Starting off with, if I could make 80K a year, I'd be a happy man.
All right, I think that definitely could be possible. With your experience, maybe we could bump that up a little bit more.
That'd be great.
Well, finding out more about you has surely been a pleasure. We will be making our final hiring decision by next week, Monday. You seem like an excellent candidate for our company. Do you have any questions for me at this time?
No, no, sir, no other questions. I don't have.
All right, perfect. I appreciate the time you took for this interview. Is there anything else you would be helpful for me to know as I select the next candidate for this position?
No, I believe I've told you what uh what you needed to know and everything about me. So I think that's it.
I really left it all out there. All right. I should have all the information I need in order to make a decision. However, would it be all right to call you at home if I have any more questions?
Yeah, absolutely.
All right. Thanks again for your time, Mr. Banks. I will notify you of our decision as soon as we make one. You have a nice day now.
Thank you. You as well.